Hello, thank you for taking the time to hear our proposal to add VR technology to our library's assets. The proposal is organized into four sections: the introduction, research and advocacy, implementation plan, and assessment. So let's take a look at our library's profile and demographics. Mariposa City has a population of 1.5 million people, and about 200,000 live in Lampasas. There is high traffic. It's in an urban downtown location in the city central. The community is socioeconomically divided. There are a lot of affluent business people and also low income housing and refugee housing, not many suburban type neighborhoods. The community is ethnically diverse and age diverse, but trending towards younger and middle aged. The Lampasas Library is in a historic city building that used to be the city hall before it was restored and turned into the Lampasas Library. The Lampasas Library is a branch in the Mariposa City Library System. Some advantages that this library has is that we have a lot of space. We're in a good location. We're well staffed. We have 15 employees, two of which are full time librarians. Our staff is progressive and innovative. Many are into current technology trends and use new technologies daily. Nick is one of our staff members who is really into video games and VR technology. He has been suggesting this technology for a while and has offered to teach the staff training course and record some instructional videos for the patrons who want to use it. However, there is an area where we want to improve. We've seen recently a decline in teenage patrons. We don't have money for extra fancy technologies or updated things. And we have ventured into the iPads, e-readers, and the 3D printer, but there isn't a lot of advertisement about that, and our marketing department is not great. We've been developing our social media presence for the last few months, and we feel prepared to launch this technology through advertisements on social media and our website. The hope is that by incorporating the skill sets and ideas from our younger, more tech-savvy staff members, that we can better meet the needs of the teenage patrons in the community. We are aiming to rebrand our library and share new technologies and services with our patrons and increase the perceived value of our library. This is Clyde. Clyde is 16. He's in the 10th grade and attends the local Lampasas Public High School, which is within walking distance of the Lampasas Branch Library. He is introverted, has a small group of close friends, and likes to use Facebook and TikTok. He enjoys longboarding, which is his primary mode of transportation. He has a black belt in martial arts, and he has a pet bearded dragon named Monty. He lives in a single-parent household with his dad and his younger brother, Matt, who's in 4th grade. He wants to be a good role model for his brother, so he strives to get good grades. He also wants to apply for scholarships in order to attend college. He likes art, information technology, and English. He loves to listen to old school rock, and his favorite book is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. We've done some research about the benefits of VR technology and found that the evidence supports our goals and aligns with both our library values and the needs of our community. We would like to propose Oculus Quest VR headsets as a necessary component of our plan to rebrand the library and expand resources to accommodate the diverse needs of a greater number of community members. COVID-19 has changed education, and part of adapting to these changes should not sacrifice authentic learning experiences. This technology would provide those opportunities. 4 simple questions that we have thought through. What is right? We have a lot of traffic, we have a lot of space, and we are normally set up for community events. What is wrong? We have a lower number of teenagers than we used to, and part of that is due to this traditional idea that libraries are just for books. What is missing? Our marketing strategy is outdated. We've tried to incorporate more social media and to build our followers there. We also don't have the funding. What is confused? How do we attract more teenagers? we thought that the librarians should offer a more relevant resource to appeal to teenage patrons. This VR technology fits the bill. It will help us to rebrand as a knowledge and education facility rather than just a place that stores books. Some supporting technology logistically that we will need and that we are requesting to purchase with the $5,000 grant are 5 Oculus Quest 2 all-in-one headsets, 5 charging stations to ensure the units are fully charged when being checked out to library patrons, 5 cases to ensure the protection of devices in transit, a headset covering to promote sanitation of headset use, 1 projector for spectator viewing and for potential library programming, and 1 portable screen to be used with the projector. The Oculus Quest 2 is unique in that it is self-contained. You download apps straight to the device. It is lightweight and very portable. There are apps for education, exercise, meditation, gaming, and general productivity. Some of these apps are pictured here. Many are educational, but can also be used for other purposes. We have selected apps that focus on STEM, arts, travel, and recreation, and align with our library values to promote diversity, education, and lifelong learning, access, and sustainability. The ALA has identified some library values that are important to our libraries. One of those is equitable and accessible information. And Young states that the technologies that live within the library can be an entry point for learning opportunities, boosting programming and sparking collaborations. There are many people that can't afford the Oculus technology on their own and might not get to experience these unique opportunities for learning. By providing them as resources to check out for anyone with a library card in our community, we can expand the usage and we can expand skills in technology for all of our patrons. The ALA also describes lifelong learning as a value. The primary objective, according to Raya and Priya, objective of education is to help students prepare for life, work, and citizenship by developing knowledge and skills essential for society. Skills in technology are vital for success in the world today. Technology is everywhere, and it is important to know how to use it and to stay mostly up to date with the trends. The ALA also talks about professional education as a value, and the VR is not only for the patrons, but it could be useful for staff training and for the staff members to be familiar with the type of technology that students in schools are using now, and for the patrons to use, so that when patrons come and ask for help, that the librarians are knowledgeable about this technology and can help guide them. There are a lot of opportunities for doing professional development with that that would also support that specific value. So what about Clyde? Clyde is overall, he values education and lifelong learning. He loves to read, and he hopes to attend college once he graduates from high school. He's interested in IT and would love to be able to have access to virtual reality. VR would be a great way for him to learn new things, especially since he is a visual learner. According to Ryan Priya, with the help of VR, students effortlessly understand difficult concepts through experiential learning, and applied learning promotes a way to explore and implement new ideas in several domains, promoting their learning and increasing their creativity. Clyde will benefit from using VR because it allows him to access a new resource for learning and will also encourage him to be a patron of the Lampasas branch library. Our SWOT analysis, we already talked about what is right with our library, the strengths, and their weaknesses, things where we can improve. Some of the opportunities are that we can update the traditional thought of what a library is and make it into more of a community center with a multitude of educational opportunities in different formats rather than just the standard book and maybe movie and music, things that you normally think about. It would appeal to a larger audience, be able to bring in more diverse patrons, and to provide access and new opportunities for everyone. Some threats: we are dependent on outside funding. There is not room in the budget for this type of technology. These would be considered extras. This is why we are requesting the $5,000 grant. The other thing that is a potential threat is that the technology is fairly new. So we would be kind of pioneers for this technology to be used in libraries. And we've done a lot of research and think that this would fit really well with what we want to accomplish. Our plan for implementation is as follows. We want to start with what we have and how we can use it. So we already have servers that can handle the addition of these 5 Oculus devices. We have locked storage in the room that we're planning to use to facilitate this activity. And we have the space. We have an existing open space that is wide and has blank walls, and it has a lot of open space to prevent some safety hazards and things like that. After cataloging the devices, they will be available for patrons to check out, and that can be scheduled through the library's website. The time slots will be staggered to ensure that there is enough space for patrons to use the devices safely. We've drafted a waiver for patrons to use before they play that outlines the safety expectations. Our IT savvy staff member, Nick, has volunteered to make some instructional videos for patrons' reference. As we've developed our web and social media presence over the last few months, we've been successful in gaining a good following of community members, businesses, and services. We plan to blast social media and our website with posts giving details of a launch party, share the new technology. We have the resources to print signs and hang in the schools and public spaces, post offices, grocery stores, etc., and to create signage for the outside of the building. The hope is that when we launch the party, that it attracts the younger generation and maybe some diverse patrons that we haven't seen before, and can give new opportunities. The $5,000 grant will be spent as follows. Some money going to the devices and charging cases, and the cases and the device itself would equal, well, close to $2,000 there. The projector is another $1,000. Projector screen and all of the things that go with that are a little bit, and everything, including the staff training of the devices and the refreshments for the party, would equal to just under $5,000. Our timeline for this project is we've started the research, and that has taken a few weeks. The purchasing is a week and a half to 2 weeks. Cataloging will take a couple of days. The training will also take 2 to 3 days. Marketing will take a few days. And our advertisement, we've already started, but that will lead up to the VR party that will happen on June 14th. One of the most important things we can do is make sure our efforts really do help us meet our goals of increasing the teenage population and diversifying library use to appeal to a greater range of patrons. These goals must also help the library maintain their foundational values. Our goals are to evaluate quarterly. We will be using a survey and for quantitative data and a focus group for qualitative data. We want to track the numbers. We can also use the tracking through the registration and library card and circulation applications to track the numbers of the usage and the different hours to see if we really are meeting our expectations. This survey is an example of what we would make voluntary for. We would encourage anyone to sign up for them or to sign the papers with their information and with their opinions and just some feedback. And we know that surveys are not always the most unbiased. So the approach of including qualitative and quantitative data, we are hoping will cover our bases and be able to help us with some unknowns. We want to use with our control group just the frequent users that appear quarterly to volunteer for interviews, and we will follow them for 4 quarters to get all of that qualitative data. The library values are education and lifelong learning, which we talked about, diversity, access, service, and sustainability. This technology project complements all of our library's values. Thank you.